Talk to me.
And percussion too.
What's that?
Yeah, it was me and four other guys that got the idea to start the group. So that was Zach Levy, Ronno Smith, and Mike Maury.
So we all sort of decided we were all going to be in it.
I think the four of us got together and started planning out, how are we going to do this? I think sometime in the fall of '95, we started talking about it. It was something we all wanted to do. It was something we wanted to keep doing from having done it in high school. We've done a cappella groups in high school, and we wanted to keep that going and get more outreach into the broader campus from just the School of Music, beyond the School of Music. We put up signs around campus. We didn't try right away to be a recognized campus organization.
I think it was probably fall of '96 when we held auditions.
We managed to get the voice parts we were looking for, and we got off to a start.
What you've got to be tough when consumed by desire. 'Cause it's not enough just to stand outside the fire.
When we started out, it was way more close to Glee Club style, where we made a very strong effort to mostly kind of, classical type pieces.
Actually, we were the Ithaca College men's chorus for the first at least 3 years. Fully half of our program was concert repertoire for men's chorus, and then the other half was the doo-wop and the arrangements.
It was very much the men's chorus. In fact, I think that toying around with the Ithacappella, because there was definitely a transition period, like a branding transition period, where it was both Ithaca College men's chorus and Ithacappella.
Ithacappella was such a clear, this is the name that it should be.
There were things wherein we took ourselves very seriously and really wanted to musically have a quality experience, but in terms of how we presented ourselves, we definitely bought in more and more into the humor and the lightheartedness of the experience.
It was probably, I can't remember if the same year was when we started singing the Sounds Good to Me song to put Ithacappella in it. I think it basically, when the name change came, we did that song, and that kind of became the, almost its own little anthem, in addition to the Do You Fear the Force of the Wind.
Even though that branding change, elements of the personality of the group really stayed the same. Personality in terms of the repertoire personality really stayed the same.
So we rehearsed at night, after classes. So it was like 7 or 8 o'clock rehearsals, and we do 2-hour rehearsals. Sometimes we'd go later, I guess.
The guys that were in the group were all very eager musically, so they were really pretty excited about lots of the different rep that we went with.
So herding cats is a good way of describing it. You got a lot of testosterone in the room. You got a lot of personality in the room.
It was pretty close to just four people on a voice part for bass, baritone, tenor 1, tenor 2. And if it was more than that, it was barely more than that. So it was a nice kind of small sized group.
That was one of the cool things about the group, is it wasn't just music school fellas, it was people from all over. And I think that's got even more expansive over the years. We had a lot of School of Music folks in the first couple of years.
We were practicing in the dorm, Terrace 12 was where we practiced, the Phi Mu dorm, and we just practiced in the big common room, at the end of the hallway. And then we moved into the music school once we kind of got, the blessing of the music faculty, which that was always a challenge. I mean, we were always kind of, for some strange reason, like going back and forth with the music faculty. But, we did a lot of choral music, and that was kind of, what kept our alliance there.
We were kind of bucking the School of Music a little bit too, by not being like, we were kind of outside that system. We just wanted to get a bunch of people together to sing. I was the first musical director, and we had an assistant director. I think Zach was the assistant director, Zach Levy. The influences we had for sure were this group from the early 80s called the Nylons. We had this Canadian group, Moxie Fruvis, and then we'd take from TV or like cartoons or whatever else we wanted to pull from.
And I think that was one of the things that attracted me to the group was having a real varied style and dynamic repertoire.
But it quickly turned into that being, one of the main reasons to do it, to not only find some fun pieces to do, but an outlet for the guys to be creative in arranging their own pieces. And
some of the coolest stuff. I remember sitting eating my dinner once in a dining hall and scratching out the arrangement to Amazing Grace. It was just, I'm like, shit, I got to get this out on paper.
Like the Amazing Grace arrangement that we have was handwritten, and just photocopied from staff paper. That's how we did our arrangements,
Yeah, to have this outlet of wow, look at this sound that we can get, and these guys that we're here who are all doing this and having that energy, and being this song would work so well with it, and how do you get the voices to do it? And that was I love that process.
That's been a thing in the group since the beginning, is somebody is doing arrangements because they want to try something out. When you can cultivate that, and that's a whole other outlet. It's not just a singing outlet, and it's like a composition or arranging outlet for some members too. We pulled it together. It was fun. It was a little crazy, but it was mostly just getting together to sing. But we tried to put on a couple of concerts every year. I don't know if we did 4 blocks worth of concerts.
We did all of our concerts when I was there in Muller Chapel. So we had a nice intimate setting, which was pretty neat.
It was, small enough to handle the kind of crowds we were drawing at the time, but that was a nice space to be in too. It was intimate. We were not mic'd at the time. So everything was our own projection.
The early concerts were, you could count on your friends, and between all of us, 60 members of a group, we have a lot of common friends, but we also, had friends at different schools and things like that got into it as well. So it was fun, kind of cozy first concerts that we would have. And I think it was only our second or third performance, whether that first year or the second year, that it got to the point where it was we don't have room for everyone who wants to come and see us. We have to do 2 shows, and 2 shows is going to wear us down, so we need to convince folks that we need a bigger space.
I feel like we had a pretty excited following, so our concerts were really well attended. And because we were sort of this new thing that was happening, we drew a good bit of attention.
It just became really obvious really quickly that it was a draw for an audience, and they liked it, and that just made the energy of the group be let's try this then, and that brought more people in. And
sometimes maybe getting in a little bit of trouble with that sort of stuff, but Dr. Blooding always pulled the reins on us, so that was probably wise of him.
Dr. Blooding was, I think he was the original advisor for the group. So he is a powerhouse, metropolitan level, dramatic baritone, lyric baritone.
There was just a kindness that came from Dr. Blooding that I think everybody felt, and And I think it allowed people to rise to the occasion.
Because in order to be a club, we needed a faculty advisor to kind of, sign off on some things. So he was willing to step into the role of advisor. He believed in our vision and our mission of the group. So he was very interested in filling that role with us.
And to know that a professor would make that kind of commitment and really just see it through, I think is amazing, and he really was like just so much more than just like a teacher advisor. I mean, he really was like kind of a dad figure for everybody.
But he was around and he shared his positivity with us and allowed us to feel like we were doing something that wasn't so fringe, that was taken seriously by the music department.
Getting the music school kind of behind us at that time was like a big deal. And being allowed to use like Ford Hall and sort of establishing ourselves as like a higher tier kind of music group.
We were gaining a lot of popularity, and we had also our president had retired, J.J. Whalen, who is the Whalen Center is named after him. So he was retiring, and a new president was coming in, Peggy Williams. And somehow, I don't know if it was Dr. Blooding or somebody else connected with the group, was able to kind of network well for us, because she asked us to sing at her, I don't know if it was her inauguration or whatever the ceremony was that officially brought her in.
Peggy Williams was like such an advocate of the group and came to concerts, and we went to events for her and like arrange songs that she would like to perform them for her. Like, she was a big proponent. It was nice to feel like, there's more than just like your peers are appreciating it. It's like they're administrators that actually want this to succeed too. So
the Hockett Recital Hall. So when that first opened, nobody was allowed in there, but we managed to get in there for a concert, and then we got kicked out immediately because we had 1,000 people in this space that only fit, like 250 or something. And then we went to Ford Hall, which I think seats like 800 or 900 or something. And it was standing room only. I mean, we had people on the stage with us and stuff. It was nuts.
It's just the spark that you get from having an audience be so clearly excited and into the stuff that you're doing, and that rush of adrenaline that comes from it. And, it all happening because you're working with people you trust to be able to do it, but they're also people that you're gonna have a fun time with. Just like kind of a perfect storm of excitement.
And then we'd all then gather and party together after rehearsals and shows. There was a house that we called the House with the Red Door that Ross Mizrahi and Ron Smith and some others lived in, and that was definitely a place that we went to for parties. I mean, of course, there was nothing illegal going on at any of those parties. We were upright citizens and so forth.
Very often parties that would turn into 12 people outside around a fire singing acapella songs, much to maybe the chagrin of the other people at the party being like, oh, let's go inside and listen to some real music.
You're my brown-eyed girl. I know no matter what.
But, of course, tour was the best.
I think we fairly well stayed on campus those first couple of years.
And then, of course, up to Nantucket.
We toured out to Nantucket.
Nantucket, man. Like, have you heard the Nantucket stories? So we had a guy named Mike Morey, J. Michael Morey, which is where I got my nickname, which was J. Michael. But he was a senior when I was a freshman, founding member. And he was from Nantucket. And so the first tour that they took was to Nantucket. And then the next year, they're like, we got to go back. And so they went back to Nantucket. And then the next year, they're like, we got to do it now. It's an annual thing. And so we went to Nantucket again. And so, we used to do these, trips where we go to Nantucket and then we would get on the ferry and go to the island. And we were like royalty in Nantucket. Like everybody knew who we were. So when we were there to give a concert, it was just wild and we felt like we were famous.
We all behaved ourselves. And that was very important. It was a delight. It was. There were moments where singing was secondary, and just being together as a crew was the most important thing, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, and then like you'd have these gigs, but then any opportunity to stand together and start singing, you'd take.
Oh yeah, and we stopped. We did make one stop along the way to high school in Hudson Falls, because that's what my sister taught there for a number of years. So it was nice having all those different connections that we could, make those stops along the way.
That was our first tour. We all just drove, like people who had cars just drove to where we needed to, and then
some of the cars getting lost on the way to Hudson Falls. So we began the concert with, maybe 3/4 of the group, and then all of a sudden the guys who just made it into like rushed onto stage, and then we like started the show that way. It was a bit of a dramatic entrance.
So they would line us all up. We would do these amazing workshops with all of the high school choirs, and usually, one of our guys would be a recent graduate, or one of our guys, as we got a little bit older, was graduated and they might have been teaching in the school. A lot of times what happened was the schools would start a men's acapella group or a guys acapella group, like as a result of us going there, because we would say, give us all the guys from the choir. We'd do something after we left. They're like, we want to do it. And so then we would send them our arrangements.
We all got grouped off into different people's homes. And only later would you find out how the other groups behaved in other homes. But I would imagine there was a degree of tomfoolery that took place.
I remember just people telling jokes in this van, going, it was a lot of fun.
It was just a great camaraderie building experience. Really brought us close together.
So I guess just sort of wrapping up here, but what would you say, what are some of the reasons that you think the group has lasted this long?
They got organized beyond what we could provide in the first couple of years.
We would have moments of mistakes and maybe even slightly falling apart in the early days, and we'd have to pick ourselves up and carry on.
My years, we just tried to build a foundation. We wanted to do the best we could. We wanted to, we wanted to have high musicianship. We wanted to show it could be done really at a high level.
When I was involved in it, I was like, I know how important this is to me. I'm going to do whatever it takes to like get other people to experience it and do my best to do my part for making it be a successful group itself.
I think maybe we were a little apprehensive that like once the core of us graduated and we kind of put our time in, they were like gonna fizzle out.
But I think because it started with that intention and those outcomes, it sustains. It sustains, and there's heart to it.
And I don't know that any of us ever believed that it would get to where it is now. And I remember, like, I think some of the memories that I have are going to some of the concerts after I'd graduated and just being in awe of what they were doing. We started this. This was something that we really wanted to have happen. And obviously enough other people were passionate enough about it and had enough of an impression on it to also want to be a part of it and keep it going.
There is some kind of connection that other people, non-musicians, just don't get. That people who perform music with one another get. You stop thinking about who and where you are, and you're just a vehicle for the music with others.
It really created probably some of my most fond memories, musically and aesthetically, and just in a way that enhanced me being at Ithaca.
And those early moments when you're just so exposed and vulnerable in life, and having such big ups and downs emotionally, and in terms of your academic experience, I certainly did. And to have a brotherhood or a siblinghood rather, was really important.
Having outlets like this one at Ithacappella, that you have opportunities to make quality music with people who end up being your best friends. Yeah, it's no wonder. It's kind of mind-boggling that we're talking about this almost 30 years after the beginning and it's still going on. But it's also exactly what we saw in those early years. Wow, this is just turning into a bigger and bigger thing with more and more people interested in it and more people wanting to be a part of it. So it's pretty awesome to see that it's still going strong. I can't imagine there being a reason for it to ever end. Let's just let it be a thing that goes on forever.
Wow, this song has a lot of clicks.
Yay, now Peter's on the CD. That's the coolest thing ever. Yeah, it is.
That reminds me of the ending of Allentown. If we would keep clapping.
Yeah, I mean, but that is, I think.